Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Buddhahood. What's the origin of that term? Is it Nichiren? Well, under our our entry in Buddhism Reference of Tien-Tai, we continue with Buddhahood. There's a painting that you'll often see in books or translations on Tien-Tai. It's a scene from the Lotus Sutra where the Buddhas Prabhupada and Shakyamuni, or Shakyamuni and many treasures, or Tahoe. We use many different names for these different personages, different languages, so on and so forth. They're seated in the jeweled stupa. Remember the apparition, the apparent, basically the stupa with the mandala in it, the 7 jewels, all that. Painting from the Yulin caves, 7th to 14th centuries. In this profound meaning of the Lotus Sutra, Ji explains Buddhahood by means of the 3 ways of understanding the causes for Buddhahood and the 3 ways of understanding the result of Buddhahood. The 3 ways of understanding the causes, which are 3 ways of saying the same thing, are as follows. 1. Each of the 10 Dharma realms contains the other 9 realms. Right? These are the 10 worlds many of you may be familiar with, the realms. Therefore, the 9 realms other than Buddhahood are integrated with Buddhahood. All possess the potential for Buddhahood. So this is another way to say interpenetrating, yes? And third, the 10 realms are empty of inherent existence, and they are of the nature of the threefold truth. Now there's a lot going on in that statement, because if you haven't picked up on it yet, these are states of mind. Buddhism is about the mind. And a lot of people lose that anchor and they start to see these things as actual things. This is why I don't like to use the word worlds, because worlds makes things sound tangible, like they're actual places or things. And, this is because of certain groups and sects that want you to think this way. But it's not helpful. It's not Buddhism. Realms you might think of in the same way, but realms has another more associated meaning of an area of potential. Are we in the realm of possibility, right? Is this even in the realm of, again, possibility, actuality? In other words, realm very often is used in our vernacular as not an actual thing or place, but a mental, cognitive, reasonable assumption, reality. So this is much more Buddhist to use the word realm. And because those realms are mental abstractions, it's obvious why he then says the 10 realms are empty of inherent existence. You can't look on a map and go to the realm of hell. Now, the world of hell, you might see it, right? Because that's a tangible thing, location, and that's not Buddhism. Buddhism, again, is about the mind and how it works and functions to play out, to experience life. The three ways of understanding the result, Buddhahood, are as follows. 1. Buddhahood pervades the entire universe. As Swanson says, it is not a separate realm detached from our world of experience, but an integral and fundamental part of it. And as you've heard me say so much lately, and as I point out exhaustively in my annotations in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, which I'm working on, what they're talking about here is tathagata, the potential for cognition, for observation, for witnessing. The Buddha attained Buddhahood incalculable eons ago, as it is said in the Lotus Sutra. So here the rhetoric is still a little slippery. There's a tendency in all the translators and all the academia to slide Tathagata and Buddha into the same concept. They are definitely related, but I think it's important to make a distinction here. Tathagata does not exist in this Saha world as an instantiation, a physical instantiation. The way that Tathagata can exist in this physical world is through the sentient mind's experience. And that experience, though it is not either tangible, it is palpable, and palpable only through the sentient mind. So the experience of Buddha, not a thing, is a consciousness, the ninth consciousness, in the sentient mind. That is Buddha. That's different from Tathagata, which is the potential for that instantiation. But Buddha is specific to the mind that experiences the clarity, the fundamental, the engine of life. Tathagata actually is in the primordial phase of karma, whereas Buddha recognizes the complete engine of life from potential to formation to the realm of form. That is the witnessing of the process. That is Buddha. Follow? The Buddha attained Buddhahood incalculable eons ago really kind of plays this weird time game. And that happens throughout Shakyamuni's teachings. But understand that rather than a time game, what he's saying is that he has instantiated the experience that is timeless, Tathagata. See, if you understand that, now it's not so mystical, is it? The Buddha manifests in many different forms for the benefit of all sentient beings. What does that mean? Well, truly the form is Buddha. That is the form, right? But we all have individual freight trains of karma, and the way we come to Buddha, though it is the same experience for all sentient minds, is through a specific path to our own amalgam, right? Our own individuations of skandhas and our steps toward our path. But once enlightened, everything is one and the same, the engine of life. It's like I talk about transparency. You hear a lot of talk, words used, the void, the emptiness, like the ether, all of those. I think it's more useful to think visually, as I do, that once we're enlightened, when we look at the chair, the guitar, the friend, the lover, the house, the sandwich, instead of seeing solid, thingified reality, we see that everything is in flux, constantly reinstantiating, and that offers us kind of a transparency, almost as though everything is on a separate layer, like if you've ever used Photoshop or something like that, and you put the layer on 50% or 60% opacity, that you can see right through it. You see that it's there, but you see that it's also not there. It has a transparency, not a void, but if you've studied any science in elementary or junior high, they talk about the distance between atoms being so vast in the scale of atoms that actually everything we perceive as solid is mostly space between molecules, right? So picture yourself having that kind of a vision of the phenomenal world, realm, as not opaque, as somewhat transparent, that it is there, only there through the conjuring of the mind to identify it. If we just go a little pre-identified, we can see that it is a constant process of becoming, and therefore lends kind of a visual transparency to it. I think that works much better than void. Let me know what your thoughts are. Therefore, according to Zhi, the Buddha realm is deeply integrated with all other aspects of reality. Zhi writes, how can there be any dharma distinct from the Buddha? There cannot. Dharma being experience, right? And if we understand Buddha correctly, it is the fundamental experience. There's nothing beneath or beyond that. This is the process of life, the engine of life, yes? The only thing beneath, if you will, of that is the first component, the quiescence. There cannot. All of the hundreds of realms and thousands of suchnesses are the objective realm of the Buddha. Thus, Buddhahood is not detached from the rest of reality, but integrated with it. The difference is that a Buddha knows reality as it really is. As such, the three subtle dharmas, sentient beings, Buddhas, and mind, are part interfused with each other and are part of a single whole. Zhi quotes the Avatamsaka Sutra, which states that, quote, the mind, the Buddha, and sentient beings are not distinct, right? This is further elaboration, if you will, that all of us, all phenomena, fundamentally have the potential tathagata built in. It's part of, it's the what is the word? Antecedent to karma. It is part of what karma is formed from. In other words, the engine of life, the quiescence into formations contains the tathagata potential, along with so much other, and in formations becomes form, namarupa. And in form, we experience that tathagata potential as Buddha. Once again, Buddha nature then, as we go on, Zhi's profound meaning of the Lotus Sutra also explains Buddha nature through three parallel aspects. A lot of threes in Buddhism. Buddha nature as the conditional causes of Buddhahood. Swanson explains this ability to practice the Dharma as the inherent potential and propensity for Buddhahood within all sentient beings, which allows them to practice and build up the proper causes and conditions for attaining Buddhahood. Attaining Buddhahood meaning attaining the experience of Tathagata. That's the clarity, seeing reality as it truly is. Again, I'll relate clarity to transparency. Buddha nature, secondly, as the complete cause of Buddhahood. This is the inherent potential for wisdom in all sentient beings. This is the wisdom that can destroy delusion and reveal the true nature of reality. It is a presence of wisdom which just needs to be uncovered. So if you suddenly could see with these fleshy eyes of ours and our brain, which is what does the seeing, everything in transparency, we would have a huge leg up, right? A huge clue as to the true nature of everything. It's not solid. It's in process all the time, right? And thirdly, Buddha nature as the direct cause of Buddhahood. This means that all beings are endowed with, quote, the true reality of thusness or suchness. Now, those words mean a lot more, don't they, when you consider them in visual light of transparency. It's suchness. It appears to be moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. I.e., they all participate in the true nature of reality. It's fascinating, isn't it? It's quite a highly developed, and you can see why it took so many years for Shakyamuni to come to it, a highly developed understanding of reality, you know? An understanding that promotes the idea that to possess something is kind of, it's not only unreasonable, it's kind of ridiculous. Well, that blows apart our whole samsaric thing of possessions and accruing and wealth and all of that, right? If we're all just momentum of energies expressing and experiencing life, all of that other stuff is infantile. The 6 degrees of identity. Here we go. Tien-Tai's explanation of the path of the Bodhisattva was set forth in Zhiyi's doctrines of the 6 degrees of identity and the 6 Bodhisattva stages. So here you have the programmatic that begins with a Bodhisattva's true path is to break through these degrees of identification. And you hear me talk about identification ad nauseum, right? You can look at 8-year-old videos on this channel and I'll be talking about it. The 6 degrees of identity provide an important path schema for the Tien-Tai school. Zipperin summarizes these 6 degrees of realization as follows. 1, identity in principle. The objective fact that all things are Buddha, that whether they know it or not, they are of the nature of enlightenment. In other words, just know in your mind that you should be seeing everything with transparency. That is the true nature of everything, even if you don't see it. Just know that at some point you will experience that truth. Buddhahood at this level is still pure, unrealized potentiality inherent in all things. Do you see? It's more of a goal than a reality, but just know that all these teachings point to it, and at some point you will realize it. So that's identity in principle. In other words, should say true identity, right? Because when you've experienced that identity, there is no identity. Again, the fallacies of language can be stumbling blocks, yes? Second, identity in name. Certain beings hear the doctrine, you are identical to Buddha, and if they believe it, they are identical in name. They have this cognitive knowledge of the principle that all are Buddhas. This is a sloppy way of saying that Tathagata is inherent in all phenomena, and therefore, should we make effort to awaken that potential, we can experience Buddha, right? Third, in identity in contemplation and practice. After accepting this doctrine, these beings become Buddhists and practice the Buddhist path and make progress toward manifesting this inherent potential Buddhahood. So I take issue with the word identity here, but we can understand what she's driving at, right? These degrees of identity are really degrees of disassembling disintegrating identity, right? Because Buddha is not an identity. Buddha is the complete breaking apart of identity. Identity is samsara. So should I rewrite that? I'm just capturing what she's saying, but we can understand the subtlety here that's problematic, right? Identity of semblance. This is interesting. What other word do we have used throughout Buddhism as an equal to semblance? Counterfeit. So let's see what she says here. Further progress into the ranks and levels of Buddhist mythology. Okay, that seems open-ended. No matter, let's go on. Partial realization. Oh, she's not using identity now. The highest ranks of bodhisattva practice. What is it that we're realizing? Well, she would say Buddhahood, right? But notice that as we rise to the level of Buddhahood, identity kind of flitters away, to my earlier point. And 6, ultimate identity. Here it is, right back. Becoming an actual Buddha in practice. Yeah, that's problematic, I'll admit. But you and I understand, right? Should I rewrite that in this book for clarity? Perhaps so. Let me know your thoughts on that. In fact, I'm going to mark that with one of our dear friend Mel's markers. Mel, you're coming up a lot lately. This non-dual Tien-Tai teaching of the interfusion of all phenomena and experiences also holds that there is a non-duality of good and evil, which also applies to happiness and suffering. Buddha and Mara, the demons of death, as it were. As noted by Zipperin, the view that each experience we have includes not only itself, but also all the other experiences of all other sentient beings at all times is related to the idea that Buddhahood inherently includes every form of evil, that these evils can never be destroyed, and that they do not need to be destroyed, the evil inherent in the Buddha nature. Buddhahood does not cut off evil. Zipperin further explains this seemingly paradoxical doctrine as follows. Our joy also includes sorrow. Our sorrow also includes joy. Our evil includes good. Our good includes evil. Our delusion includes enlightenment. Our enlightenment includes delusion. So, she is interpreting this as our samsaric conundrum, that we can experience enlightenment while still in this provisional form of physical reality. There's no denial, in other words, in Buddhism of reality. We don't say everything is a dream. What we say is our interpretation of reality is solid, and that interpretation creates our suffering, our stress, our anxiety. So if we can maintain this lifetime and use it to witness the transparency of everything, we can do and experience and savor and cry and have joy and all of that without feeling that it is our identity, that it impinges on our life directly, that our true beingness is as witness to this incredible drama of potential manifesting over and over and over again. Is this not amazing? Rather than being tossed to and fro by everything that happens. We become observers of everything that happens with the fascination of a witness rather than the turmoil of a washing machine, yeah? It's one thing to watch the wash tumble. It's quite another to be in the washing machine, yes? All right. Next will be the subtle dharma, one reality, one vehicle, many skillful means. I'll save that for the next video. There was a lot of interesting comments, and we're dipping into other scholars' opinions of this thing, but I hope the introduction of this term transparency to our dialogue, I think I'm going to use that a whole lot more. I think it's really a helpful visual. But that's me. Please tell me what your thoughts are. Does that open your thoughts regarding the experience of Buddhahood and what it might be to understand the impermanence and the constant moment-to-moment-to-moment-ness, the suchness of life? What are your thoughts? I look forward to reading your comments. Okay? In the meantime, please take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. Build your confidence and resolve. That's what we're here for. That's what this Sangha is all about. And in that regard, as you know, all of your support in whatever means, greatly, greatly appreciated. Not just me, but for all of us, right? All of us get something from this. I certainly do. So thank you. And I'll see you in the next one. As always, bye for now.